Hey everybody, Elle here with Fieldcraft Survival, and I want to take you along as I refresh and restock my mobility rig for fall. So my mobility rig looks a lot different than the rigs you see here at Fieldcraft on a regular basis because I am just a normal mom running my kids from point A to point B pretty much every day of the week, and I have a mom vehicle. And I need my vehicle and the loadout in my vehicle to reflect our needs. I need it to have the supplies that we need just to make life easier, to make things less stressful, and to also account for any situations that we might face that I could potentially mitigate on my own by having the right supplies. Now, oftentimes when I've done loadout videos, people have said, oh, that would never work. That would only last 6 weeks in my vehicle, and then I'd have to replace that. My family would go through it. Or I would do that and I'd forget about it, and then that'd be pointless because I need different supplies in winter than in summer. And guys, that's the point. That's the point, y'all. You're supposed to, when you adopt a lifestyle of self-reliance and preparedness, you're supposed to be paying attention to the seasonal shifts, how that affects your life, and how you account for that. How you equip yourself and your family to also shift with the seasons. And so our vehicle is such an important part of our self-reliant lifestyle. It comes with us everywhere we go, and we have a lot more capacity in our vehicle than we do in a bag or a purse or even on our belt and in our pockets, right? So it's almost like a larger version of an EDC because it's coming with us for the most part wherever we're going in life. And so we can carry an expanded loadout in our vehicle to accommodate our needs. So I'm updating my vehicle for fall. I'm changing out the supplies to account for what we need in our life, what our life looks like right now, and I would love for you to join me. First, I drive a GMC vehicle, and so the newish year models from like 2015, 2016 on up have a cargo space in the back here underneath the cargo area. So you can lift that up and you have a little bit of room here to store extra supplies. Now, this is a bit harder to access when you have all of your gear on top of that, but it is still there. It still gives you some extra storage. And so I keep my lesser used items in here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of my supplies from the summer and the spring, take out whatever might have gone bad or be going bad, replace that, refresh it with something new. I'm going to change out my water. You can see here that I use my Fieldcraft Everyday Water. I also have some of the Mountain Valley spring water in their aluminum cans. Those work really well. You can also use glass or stainless steel. I'm going to update a few emergency food supplies. I have discovered that I don't particularly love putting things like tuna fish in metal cans in the car. I would prefer them to be in pouches because they just work better with the intense heat that happens here in the summer. So I definitely will be making that change. I'll be updating and changing out my bags, adding a few more in there. I love having trash bags. I can use those for little ponchos for the kids if it rains. I can also use them as collection bags. I can use them for so many different things. So I love having trash bags in there. And then I will update my emergency bag that I have with some fire starters, some hand warmers, some matches, some lighters, make sure all of that is still in good condition, change out anything in there. I also love to keep a fire log in the car in the colder month. So just make sure all of that is updated and ready to go. So now that I have the under cargo area all cleaned up, squared away, new items put in there, I've added back in my WeatherTech mat, and now I'm going to go about organizing the upper section of the back of my car. I absolutely use every square inch of my car, and I personally think that half of preparedness is your organization of preparedness. Otherwise, you forget what gear you even have, and then it's really difficult to find when you're in a stressful situation. And a lot of times you're sending other people to grab it. I know I have to do that with my kids, and so I have to know where everything's at so I can give them the verbal instructions to go find those items. But things that I want to keep in mind for fall is, number one, we are going to be doing a lot more outside recreational activities because it's not as hot as it was in the god-awful heat of summer here in the South. And I want to account for that and have the gear we need for that, playing a lot of tennis, maybe throwing some softballs around. And so I want to have the supplies I need to make that happen. I also want to have my basic vehicle mobility items charged, updated, restocked, whatever I need, and ready to go. And I'll show you what those items look like. I also want to account for rain. So in the fall when it rains, or in the winter when it rains, it is a lot more inconveniencing than if it happens in the summer, because a lot of times there is a chill that comes along with it. So I do keep in mind protecting myself and the children a bit more from the rain. And then I always have to make sure that I have backup clothes. Having backup clothes in your car is something that I've been living by for years, and I swear by it. And so if something happens, you end up having to stay somewhere later than you thought, your kids get filthy, they're wet, their clothes are soiled, whatever it is, you have a change of clothes, you're ready to go. So let me show you what loading out the back of the car, this area, looks like for me. Let's start with my Fieldcraft 40-liter bag, which I use as my mobility bag. So what I mean by that is I use this for all of my mobility equipment. I have a drop hitch here with my pin. I have Fix-A-Flat. I have a vehicle fire extinguisher. I have a pair of tennis shoes in case I have to do vehicle maintenance. And I am not equipped in the shoe department for that. So these are some LED smart flares. These are actually really important. I want to make sure that they are ready to go, that they still are working fine. Especially for the fall and winter when it gets dark a lot earlier. And so they have a flashing option, they have a constant option, they have just a light on top option. But these are easy to find. There's so many different road flares you can find that are LED, which is great because we know it's bright, give you the illumination you need to help keep you safe if you're dealing with road contingencies when you have less light. So I keep all of that in my 40-liter mobility bag. Along with that, I have my tried and true, the real passenger princess of this car, my NOCO. I love my NOCO. I use it a lot to help other people and to boost tractors and four-wheelers and whatever else needs a boost. But I always, between seasons, make sure that it's still charged regardless of whether you've used it or not. The battery may have depleted while it sat there, especially if it's been sitting in a really hot car or a really cold car. And so those temperature extremes can affect the battery life. So I want to make sure that it's charged, ready to go, and I can put it safely away in that 40-liter bag so that when I need it, it is there and useful. Okay, so I've laid all the kids' clothes out, and what I do for each of them is I do some bottoms that are pants of some sort. So for the girls, I have leggings. For my little boy, I have sweatpants. And then I do a lighter long sleeve shirt to go underneath, and then I do a button-up flannel of some sort. And so this can act as like an outer layer, a thin jacket. It just gives them layering ability. And then a pair of socks and a pair of underoos. So I have all of that for them. Sometimes I have used packing cubes and I've put all of their different clothes in individual packing cubes. But what I have started doing in recent seasons is I've packed them all very tightly into a gallon size Ziploc bag. And so this gives it the ability to be waterproof. Just ran into a few instances where something was spilled back here and the packing cubes aren't waterproof unless you buy waterproof packing cubes, but this served a better purpose for that for me, and so this is what I have been using since then. So I'm gonna get them all packed in the bags. Now if something happens and your children have to use this clothes, that's what it's there for. I've seen too many people who are like, no, we don't want to touch our emergency supply of clothes. Like, no, but it's there for them to use it. So if they need to use it, it's fine. Just wash it and be diligent about putting it back in the bag and putting it back in your vehicle and staging it as quickly as possible so that it's there for the next time they need it again. A lot of times for their clothes, I'll go to just Walmart and I'll get some of the basic Wonder Nation is the brand. It's like $5 per item. And so I'll get a lot of those basics for the bag. You could also take clothes out of their drawers if you wanted to. I just grab new clothes and then keep it in there. And they wear it a time or two every season. And then you could also go to like a secondhand store or something like that and pick up clothes. So whatever fits your budget, make it work. So I'm actually going to store the children's clothes in my mobility bag that I have here for my vehicle items, just because this bag isn't used as much, thankfully. And it just keeps them nice and stowed away. They're also in the Ziploc bag, so if I had to get something quickly in that bag, I could just toss them out. All the clothing would still stay together and I could get to whatever was at the bottom of the bag. I used to carry an extra bag just for supplies like this in here, emergency supplies, but I've tried to relocate as many of those as I could to underneath that cargo area. And then the basic items like my tennis shoes that I would change into if I had to do road work and I was wearing not so road worky shoes, as well as the kids' clothes, I like to keep in that vehicle mobility bag because it can serve more than one purpose. 20-liter bag, I carry medical supplies. So many different medical supplies. I have Stop the Bleed. I have chest seals and splinting. I have just basic medicine for adults, basic medicine for children, and I have a first aid wilderness guide. So I keep all of this in the bag. In this medical bag is also where I like to store. I have like a full-size poncho here. I have some other poncho options. I have enough for myself and all the kids, so I'll keep that in the medical bag just because I have room for that in there. And hypothermia could be a medical condition. Not that we'd catch that here in Louisiana, but you know, it just mentally categorizes itself in there. So I keep all of that in my 20-liter bag. Now, you may want to go through, look at your med supplies, see what medication has expired or has leaked or you've used most of it, replace that. Get yourself new emergency medical equipment if you need that. Make sure everything is organized in the pouches where it should go. Update things like tape and Tegaderm and bandages, things that you actually go through. Like if you used a chest seal, I'm pretty sure that you would remember that. But as far as basic medical supplies, a lot of times we forget. So go back through, just do a quick inventory, replace those items. Along with the ponchos, I want to make sure I have functional umbrellas. I just got this cute one for my girls. Isn't it precious? It's a bubble umbrella. They seem to have a problem with running into things sometimes whenever they wear their umbrella, and it impairs their vision, so they can pop their little head under this one and still see. It's transparent, so I think that will help them avoid running into people or vehicles. And it also fits more than one person. So I make sure that I have functional umbrellas that are ready to go, staged in the car. I have a smaller umbrella in front for me, and then I keep this one in the back for the girls because if I'm by myself, I can grab a smaller umbrella in the front, but since they're in the back seat anyway, they could always reach back here and grab this, and it's large and obnoxious, so it makes it easier to store it back here. So I just have the umbrellas ready to go. For some reason, umbrellas get broken a lot in this family. They're just fun. It's one of those things that people don't warn you about in childhood. It's like they will find any string they can find and tie a knot with it. Bathing suit strings, whatever, shoe strings, everything gets tied in knots. No one tells you about the knots. Also, they love water hoses and umbrellas. I think it's just a fact of childhood we need to accept and go with. So umbrellas get broken. So I have to check those from season to season to make sure that we're all set and ready to go. Now, for miscellaneous items, I actually love to keep everything in storage totes if I can. This one fits perfectly well. I just grabbed it at Walmart in the food storage section. Actually, it was in the kitchen storage. But I keep a basic toolkit in there. I also have a cold bag from Sam's where I can put a block of ice in there or put a frozen bottle of water and put cold items and keep it cold. I also have just some of those nice big storage carry totes that you can get at stores like Home Goods and TJ Maxx. Those are so useful. You can also put like just a tote bag in here. I love to keep empty tote bags in the car because you never know. You just sometimes need to carry things. And then I have some basic sports equipment in here. Tennis rackets, we've been playing a lot of tennis. And I can shove all that to the back and keep it organized and situated. That is so much better than everything just floating about the car. No one likes things that float about the car. Keeps it organized so I can still put groceries in here. I can still put things that I need from time to time in there. If I'm going somewhere specifically and I pack like my bog bag to go there, I can still slide that in and have plenty of space. So that works really well for the back end of the car. So now for the back seat, I try to keep this space really practical for the kids. So not only do I have mobility bags on both sides here, I have some Rescue Me emergency escape tools here that they know how to use to bust a window or tear a seatbelt. They also have basic med items in these bags, but I keep a structured, it has to be structured, I've learned the hard way, little tote in the middle with some just crafts, screen-free type things. This is one of those doodle boards. Stickers, a little magnetic tic-tac-toe game. All of their little sunglasses are back here in a little case where they belong. Sometimes they have to be put back there by mom. DVDs for the DVD player. If you have a newer fancy car, you probably don't have a DVD player, but we still do the DVD situation. And then a couple of snacks in here. Hats. They usually have their little fanny pack bags in here so that they're ready to go. If we do go somewhere that's more public and they need to bring their fanny packs, here's some snacks. Here's just some little Brain Quest quiz cards. So I put all the things in here that I need to set them up for success. Now for the front seat. So in the front seat of the car, I always update my hand sanitizer. So I want to make sure that that's ready to go, especially if I'm pumping gas, things like that. I can clean my hands up. These are just doTERRA's On Guard, has essential oil in it, love those. In my door, I also keep just an admin med pouch, and in here I have a variety of throat lozenges, dealing with a lot of respiratory issues, throat junk in the winter months, so I like to have those ready to go. I also keep an homeopathic eardrops in there. Earaches seem to be a really common thing in the winter months, and so I am equipped and ready to help my own family as well as friends and family who may be dealing with ear issues. So along with that, I'll go through and I'll make sure that like my window brake equipment, as you see down here, is good, ready to go. The blade is still good. The window brake portion is still good. The mounting bracket hasn't come loose or anything like that. I also will begin to look up here at my visor panel and make sure that everything up there is still good, ready to go. My tourniquet looks good. In my actual med bag in my visor panel, I have a bleeding control kit, a couple of snacks, eye drops, and some contacts. So make sure that all of those supplies are there, ready to go. I also love to hide a little bit of cash somewhere where you can't see. Nothing crazy, not an astronomical amount of cash, but I would put that deep in my center console, or I even have the sliding door up here behind my dash screen. But I can keep a little bit of cash in there because I find in the fall when we're going to football games and other school events, oftentimes we need cash, and if we don't have it, that can sometimes be a little bit of a party pooping feeling for all of those who are with you. So I will just go through the front, make sure that I have the supplies that I need. I showed you the few items that are a little more fall and winter specific, but really just sorting, organizing, go through the glove box, make sure you don't have any things in there you need to deal with, like outstanding tickets. All of that, tidy things up. Like I said earlier, half of preparedness is being organized. So get your car in order, get the supplies in it that you need to really thrive in the changing seasons. If you want to list and a breakdown of the mobility loadout items that I mentioned in this video, specifically ones that move you into the fall and winter months, you can go in the show notes and sign up for our email list to get access there. I hope this was helpful. If you want more content like this, you can always follow us over on Fieldcraft Survival. And I can't wait to talk to y'all again soon. I hope y'all have a wonderful fall. I hope you're prepared for whatever comes your way. Bye, y'all.